Okay, the recording started. We are on 20B, second half. That was supposed to be the first half. Introducing code bricks by Wolfgang Kirsch, and we have Andy Stapleton in the background just in case we need some help.
Chime in whenever you want.
So Wolfgang, it's all yours, man. Tell us about code bricks.
Yes, code bricks I found quite fascinating because when I was busy messing around trying to get this language a bit under the belt and to understand how everything fits together, WINDEV is very good at giving lots of examples. And I wanted to find a way to just get going in it very quickly, and I found that there's certain screens and certain procedures or things you do is always repetitive in a sense. Like example, what I call CRUD work, change, read and update and delete the records, the insert, change, delete buttons, tend to always be the kind of more or less the same coding under the button. So because I didn't know the language too well, and I'm trying to come out from another milieu which I knew very well without thinking and typing, it got me a bit flustered in the sense that I couldn't get very quickly going. So what I did is I went to each piece of code in the demonstrations or demos and then looked at the basics because I thought if I get the insert, change, delete going, then I can do nearly like 50% of the project, because most projects is a lot of it is that kind of work, and then the reports and everything else comes in, the scan work and or the interface, the comports, etc. But the usual things, somewhere along the line you get that done. So the way to get going, I usually go and look at those codes and I ended up doing it in a notepad or something. But then I came across this little feature called code bricks. If you look down at the bottom, there's a little icon down in the orange, looks like a stack of paper in orange or something. And you hover it, it's code bricks. But if it's not there, all you do is you go back up to the top here and you say display, and you go to toolbars, panes, and then you click the code bricks. And if you click it once, it will take it away, and if you do it again, it will place it back again. So once you've got that there on the screen, then you can jump to it and you can actually have a look at it. If you go in the first time, it tends to just show what you've put in so far. If you go look and tick this box here, WINDEV has got a whole stack of codes of its own, which is kind of shortened. And what I found very interesting is a lot of their functions and procedures have kind of shortcuts to it. So let's just show you how that works. If you go to F6 and you go down to the bottom, and if you go to H read seek, you see the F5 button pitch up. And if you hit the enter button or the F5 button, it expands that particular function or procedure, which is kind of nifty because you end up cutting a lot of the coding down. So that's one nice thing about it. And I found another thing is, being from Clarion, I always remember bit OR, but in WINDEV it's called binary OR. So you can go in here and find your normal binary OR or your bit OR and put it to something which you're more familiar in a preview language. So when you start typing it in because you lost for finding the correct function or procedure, you pick up the WINDEV shortcut. WINDEV itself has put all these in as a default, as you can see down on the side, which is quite nifty because if you get to know certain of the shortcut, like example, if you do want to H-read something, like H-read next, and if you start looking at it carefully, you'll see a lot of the shortcuts on the code bricks is H-R-L-N-L, as you can see down here. So if you go and do something like example H-read last block, and you enter it on it, you've practically cut down a lot of your typing work. And then the rest goes as per normal. Besides that, which made it quite interesting, is that you end up putting your own code bricks in. Coming from the previous programming language, it was just a kind of really a fancy way of cut and paste code. But I found this particular code bricks in WINDEV is quite nifty in a sense that if you put in your abbreviated code, I always prefix mine with a WK as my initials, and then, for example, button change. So if you then hit if you example in the button change one, and you want to change that, I'm going to just delete that out. You say button change, and you hit the enter button. What happens is it shows you the code, and at the bottom it'll then give you the prompts, which then promptly fills in. So example, that table what I wanted to do the change on is my group. So if I put group, you'll see the code on top starts changing, and the form I'm going to call is form group, and then hit the enter key, and there it goes, and all your code is actually put in for you. To do that, it's quite simple. You double click on that and you go in there. The key to this whole thing is this fancy $sign. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what the right character name is it for it, but it's like a $$ sign. It's not a $sign itself. So if you forget what it is and you're trying to get it on the keyboard, you won't get it. The easiest way is just to click here and you say date, and in this place it will put today's date. As you can see over here on top, it ended up putting the date and the time in for me, and who actually put the code in this case my name. So it's date, time, and login. So date, time, and login is just the three which you just shown the top here, and that gets put in here as those little $signs with a hash hyphen in between. When you ended up putting it in, it gets slapped in for you.
Wolfgang,
Yes.
that symbol is called a section sign. And how did you type that in there?
You don't type it. I don't bother, because what you do is you go there and you say date, and then it'll put it in for you. Okay.
Ah.
Arner actually posted earlier on the group. It's Alt 167, I believe, is what he said.
Or Alt 21, right?
I'm too lazy. I just go and click this thing. Okay.
Hey, before you go too much further, Wolfgang, I missed. How did you see all of the WINDEV default code bricks versus your own code?
That blue down arrow right there. You see that on the right?
There's a little bullet here. You click standard one, and you click it. The nice thing about this thing, also, all this you can put in, and you'll see there's my code bricks in here in between. But if you just want to see yours, you just untick it and then just see your code. This is what
sort it either way, right?
Yes, yeah. And if you don't like WINDEV's shortcut, you double click on it or create your own over that one by just copying it across. This is WINDEV default ones. Okay, nothing stops you to put in your own. This is just a lazy way of let's call it their long function names, etc., which is quite nice.
In Clarion 7 they call it snippets.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I'm asking. I'm going over there right now and putting in string in for position.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. I end up putting my own little shortcuts in, which I know from a previous language it does X, Y, Z, like execute in, which is post in Clarion, etc. So you get kind of confused between the two, and then you can't remember it because you're busy learning the language, which is quite handy to have this kind of thing. Going back to the
do you think code, eventually when you learn it, you're going to change your shortcut back?
I doubt it, because some of the stuff like this, like the CRUD, these 3 lines, I don't think it will disappear, in a sense that you're going to always want to put that in if you want to do a change or insert or modify on a basic form browse kind of thing.
Yeah.
So well, I think I'm going to still be using it, but some of the other stuff I'll start dumping out because you get used to the language.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what I've done is, like example, here's a parent table select. I end up writing the code in what will do the parent child. If you have, example, in this case, I was busy doing a parent here, and then in the bottom there's a SMS group, and I'm going to put another table down here, which is going to be the group of SMS numbers you're going to put in. So this will be the parent table, and the next one will be the child pair. So you can go and click there, and you say, okay, row selection, and I'll go choose that one, and which is WTPS, and I hit that button, and up it pops, and it says, okay, the parent table I want to look at, in here will be the group, okay, table group, Okay, and sorry, that will be.
Can you create drop lists in there, or is it just a parameter?
At the moment, it's just a parameter. That's the way WinDev works at the moment. I kind of wish they had a little drop-down list, but let's make a mistake. Say, example, I put groups, and the parent-child is group, which is correct, and the child file be is list. And then you can take the filter variable, which, for example, in this case will be SMS group dot group ID, and so forth. You can then create the table and etc. So you hit the enter button and it puts it in. So as you can see, I made a mistake here, and you can go back here and we'll pick it up. But at least the crux of the way the coding is correct. So you don't have to worry about your structure of doing the CRUD work or the change insert.
So what you're saying is you can let it drop the template, the snippet or the code brick on, and then you can use the code hinting to put the right stuff in.
Yes. Then I will do like so table, and then I say, okay, it's not groups, it's group. Okay, there we go. We get it there. And the group ID is also wrong, so let's go there. Group, and I had it like that instead of the underscore in between. There you go. And you can just,
so you can just highlight the thing and just go right over it. Yeah.
And once you're happy with it, it will check it through and make sure everything is fine.
So why is the H filter wrong?
Because I've got this one most probably wrong, SMS.
No, but it's H filter with the
there you go, that one. Yeah, that's now fixed.
No, but the H, the H filter is kind of.
I've got somewhere. H filter is no syntax of it is compatible. So somewhere I've done something wrong here.
So the parameter setup is wrong.
Parameters, yes, yeah. So you end up putting those code pieces in, which is handy.
Cool.
The part where I'm going to just go through quickly, additional, is how to put these things in. You've got this little button on the side. Let me just go down a little bit. Let me just insert a new one. Okay, it says mandatory testing for. Okay, and then this is your abbreviation which you're going to type in, and so it's test WINDEV live, and then over here you can put date in, time. It's quite self-explanatory. I put a dash, and then I say, okay, this is going to be me, the person who's logged in and doing the code, and 2 slashes in front for commenting it out because you don't want it to be as code. Automatic insertion of a selected code. Like example, if you've got if, let me just show you here, if something equals true, and you want to put that surrounded by if statement, you put that there and then end. Okay. What I've noticed over here, example, is if you type over here, select it, and then you try and type, it doesn't work. That's the only time when you have to select it and be in the code break section, and then drag and drop it over the selection to do the wrapping around, as you can see. You follow what I mean?
Say that again. That went right by me.
Okay. Sometimes you want to have, say example, this wrapped around the if statement or a loop and some other codes.
Right.
Snippet. Now, if you look over here, it's if something, whatever condition, and the code what you want to select and dump in here, you put this, you put in automatic insertion of the selected code. You put that little indicator there and the end statement.
Oh, so what you selected would go into that spot.
So if you do it that TLW, it will come up with F5, but it won't do it. This is the only time when you have to go to the code block and select this, drag and drop it over the what you want to insert. Okay, so if you find that this little function doesn't work, which scratched my head for a long time because I'm not always in the code blocks section here, a pain, and I couldn't get it working because every time, for example, you select something and you say WINDEV live demo, oopsie, it's gone. You know what I mean? So if you've got something here and you select it and you say TLW, oops, gone. You know what I mean? So if you got something here, you highlight that section and you drag that over onto the
Yeah, I
highlighted
got
section
it.
and it'll wrap
Hey,
it around for you.
there look like some other interesting things there too. I mean, if you do a right
Yes,
click.
the next thing, yeah, that's what I'm going to do next now.
Yeah.
Let's do the next one. The other ones is the login. The date and time is just like a date and time stamp, and the login is whoever's logged in WinDev at the moment. In this case, as you can see on top over here, it was Wolfgang. It will put in there. The parameter one is quite handy. What you do is you just put in there whatever you want. So if you say ask Arnold for password, okay, then what happens is if you go and do TWL, enter it, it will say ask Arnold for password, and you go and type it in there, and it hit the enter button.
Oh man, a lot of support calls now.
Okay, so that's the one. The other
You know what's
nice,
amazing to me is that you put the date and time and the login after a comment, and it still filled it in because it knows that it is a section
yes,
of to insert in there. That's really cool.
yes,
I like
yes,
that.
I found it cool. The next thing over here is the one that allows you to do a default value. So what you can do is say equals 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you do it this time, TLW, enter it, it will default to that value.
Oh,
Okay.
got it.
Right, making sense. And then the what's the other one I have? Yeah. Oh, position of cursor, which is kind of nice. If you got a lot of code, it's A, B, C, D, 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 etc., and you want to start changing something here, you can then say position the cursor there. Okay, so when you type TLW, enter, and you just hit the enter key here, it will automatically put the cursor where you placed it.
So you can fill in whatever you want right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that is just
Sweet.
too cool.
There's one other thing. Go ahead, Wolfgang, then I'll jump in a little.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Um,
Sorry.
I use, you've got some fairly good deals here, but I use some SQL loops, fetches, things like this
Yes.
with the data sources. And the one thing that I've found that that I've done is on the variable, when you edit one of them and you've got the parameter name that you put there, if you do that same parameter name elsewhere in the code, that it will replace
Yes,
itself through
that's
all
beautiful.
instances.
Like example, if you do a H reset open and you put that, I'm gonna just get that funny dollar sign, that dollar sign. So what you say over here,
Right.
table name you want to have
Right.
equals. I like to just put a blank one here because it tends to put the table name in, then you have to undelete it. So I always put the equal blank. Seek,
He's hanging
first,
up a little
whatever it
bit.
is, I think it is. Am I right? It reads. No, it's read seek first. I always get around the wrong way around. Read seek first, and then you have once again. So what I'll do is I just get lazy.
Just speak louder, and
I
Andy
just
will
copy
help.
that and dump it in there, and then close it up the bracket. I'm not going to put the other parameters. Oh, let's put the other parameters. For example, so then you'll have table key equals the funny symbol again, and okay. Now what happens is watch when you do this over here, which is very nifty. TLW, enter, you put the table name, watch the top code over here, just watch over there, watch that section there. So if I say I'm going to go for the orders table, you see what happens? Orders, both fill in.
Both
And
of
you
them fill
say
in.
I want the key,
It's cool.
by order
It's using the same
ID.
name.
And once you hit the key, all the places in the right places. Obviously, I don't have a table like that in WinDev at the moment. That's why it's shining up in red. But obviously, if you've got the right key names, it will give you the right key names. So which is quite nice. So you can have
Oh,
quite a
yeah.
bit of lock on.
I
Now,
can't
with that all
wait,
said,
Andy.
there's one place where this doesn't work. Okay, and that is usually when you do a switch statement or anything which got to do with language translation. So example, what was that code again? Yes. As soon as you do, no, it isn't that one. What's the other one?
Case?
Dialogue, sorry, dialogue.
No, switches
Anything
case.
with, like example, you come up with this, it has a wizard.
Dialogue.
Once you got something with a wizard, this doesn't kind of work because you don't do it and you say, there it is, okay. It puts it in there, and if you look over here, I've got it in here. It looks all the same as over here, okay. But because of the wizard little symbol, or what shall we call it? Icon, yeah, that's for a better word. Icon, which pops up a wizard. You cannot put the yes and no buttons in here. So if you go and do that example, we do the same thing at the bottom, and you say, let's do a button delete, okay, button delete, and I put it in and say, there you go, and I'm going to do it on a table control called group. It will put it in and dump it in, but it will fail on the dialogue, unfortunately, because it doesn't bring in the icon. Okay, if you click on the icon on the top one, it brings that up.
Okay, I bet I've got a way for you to fix that, Wolfgang. Do a function overload. Do a function overload on that function. You know,
okay.
I'll let Andy explain a little further. We've done it with Trace.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually overload the WINDEV language statements.
There is a WX Live on it where I did a little bit of that early on, so you can see how we did the trace and stuff. I think I was talking about some other stuff, and everybody wondered what I was doing there.
I'm not too concerned about that. What I do is after that, I just go back in here and I just take it out by typing it in again, hit the enter key, go to the wizard, go to the next screen, and I have it already in there, so I just tick it off. Okay. Which is not really a train smash, I think, as things go, but maybe you never know. PC software might fix it even. So we'll see. But it tends to be functions or which has got to do with language translations, because when you go in here and you click on the icon, it pops it up and it allows you, if you've got different languages here, Portuguese, etc., it allows you to change all the different ones on the laying without showing it up in the code. So that's where the issue stands here over here. But otherwise, also your delete and do not delete buttons, like example, it doesn't get transferred over to over here. But otherwise, I don't think it's a big transfer. But that's only got you in the whole thing. But otherwise, quite nifty to have. Other questions?
This is excellent. I didn't know about the parameters before you mentioned them there, Wolfgang. I think it's cool.
Nice coverage. Nice coverage. Pete?
Yeah, I actually played with them early on, and I think what broke for me was when you use that little function to put them in there, it puts the brackets around them, and I thought I had to have the brackets around them so it would know it was a parameter.
That's a part.
So they never
for anybody starting off. When you do dump in, let me just go back to the cleaner one. If you do go in and you dump in that, the date and time is not an issue. But as soon as you go and do like the parameter with value, it puts those greater and less than signs in here and there, which in the beginning also confused the hell out of me, and I couldn't work out why I didn't want to work, till I realized, I don't know what happened, I just kind of took it out and it worked. Then I realized how it worked. It's actually, they're trying to tell you to replace that.
Yeah, I went out and gave up early on when I ran into that exact same issue and said, it must be a feature that doesn't work, and moved on. See?
We're too used to features.
Again, what's our theme? If it's too hard.
Oh, the other thing, yesterday,
you're doing it
I was
wrong.
listening to the other webinar, you guys were talking about the control mouse wheel. It does work on Windows 7. There you go. Sorry, guys, I should have made it bigger before we started. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, you're always asking for it,
Yeah,
Arnold.
can you make
I
it
think you
bigger?
need new glasses. Asking for it, Arnold. Yeah, okay.
Hey, I'm doing it for the people, okay? For the people. I can see it myself. I'm asking
For his
If everybody
peeps.
has a
was
problem,
shrinking
I
my
have got
eyes
it.
trying to read
It takes light about half a second longer to get to my eyes.
God. Man, we got an old group here or something.
We do.
All righty. Hey, anybody have any questions for Wolfgang? He pulled this together pretty quick. That was really nice.
Thank you.
Anytime you guys have anything that you studied hard, you guys just come on and talk about it, because that way it gets recorded, and everybody else doesn't have to go through the headache and put angle
I'm just glad
brackets
I
in there
could
and
do something
like,
in
give
return
up.
to
Next
help
poor
everybody.
SOB can
All the
catch
guys
up
who've
quicker.
always done bits and pieces. I don't think I would have got WINDEV so quickly under my belt if it wasn't all your work of Arnold and anybody else.
Yeah, you've saved me a lot of time, Wolfgang, and you probably have also cost me a day because now I'm going to spend a day playing with code bricks.
Yep.
Yes.
You were going
That's me.
to
I only got
anyway.
35 code bricks. I don't have like 5 like he does. I have like 35 of them I use. And now I'm going to have to go through and put parameters on all of them.
Yeah, well, see, I only
funny
have
thing is,
5 because I
when-
couldn't get the damn parameters to work.
Yeah.
Hey, all my code bricks are just calling
the funny thing
classes,
is,
and all I
once
have
you
to do
get
is
used
fill
to
in the parameters. You know what I mean?
Oh, Lord.
I don't have all these crud stuff. I just call classes and just fill it in, man.
You're so full of it, Arnold.
Why do
You
I
know,
need code bricks, man?
we don't want to hear about you and your goofy non-SQL stuff, Arnold.
Yeah, my BS meter just went to max there for a second.
Now that I got your attention, I want to just...
He ain't even chosen a database. He got a class of nothing.
Well, it's much easier to write your classes that way.
Oh, that's true. If you don't ever store any data.
Well, I'm in the dark side, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Arnold.
Okay, any other questions? Hey, thanks again,
Thanks,
Wolfgang,
Wolfgang.
for doing this, and I'm glad your mic finally worked.
Yep.
You got unfroze and your mic worked better. So thank you for
Very
doing that,
cool.
and we look forward to another one of your adventures.
Enjoy.
Okay.